7 years.
And then the show ended? What? Okay, so it's officially been a little over half a year since the Dragon Prince ended, and I'm still coping. Not really. The day I decided to make this video, I was chilling out when I suddenly remembered how the Dragon Prince ended, and I got filled with a rage so intense because I thought specifically about how Claudia's story was treated. Also, don't get me wrong, I adore this show and I carry a lot of respect for the creators behind it. This is not a hate video. I freaking love the Dragon Prince. Just that ending. That was an ending, alright. Anyways, I love how the Dragon Prince touches on, topics we don't see often in cartoons, like morality, forgiveness, and what it means to love. And I really did like all the moments where it touched on grief. It has an array of multifaceted characters and probably the most diversity I've ever seen in an animated show. The plot is really investing and intense, and each character, no matter what side they're on, is extremely lovable. And that's how I ended up rooting for the villains? Yeah. When I first started watching The Dragon Prince, I instantly fell in love with Claudia. She was first presented as a goofy and dorky girl despite her goth girlfriend witch appearance. And while she has always been on the antagonist side, the audience gets to watch her absolutely heartbreaking descent into her own kind of villainy, due to how she's influenced by the people around her, particularly her father. I'm assuming if you're watching this video, you have basic knowledge about, the Dragon Prince, the plot, the characters. If I was going to explain everything, then this video would be a feature-length film. I'm skipping most of the summary and diving deep into analysis. So obviously this video will contain spoilers for every season of The Dragon Prince, and I'm assuming you've watched just a bit of it. No spoilers for the books or comics though, because this is a critique of the show, and if what happens in the outside material is that important to the plot, then it should have been there in the first place. Okay, before we officially dive into the beautiful mess of Claudia, I do want to give a content warning. This video will have discussions of grooming, so if that topic distresses you, I recommend clicking off the video. I'd rather you be safe than be sorry. Also, this video is mainly my opinion, so take everything I say with a grain of salt. My word is not law, you can disagree. I love this show, and I know how good it can be. And that's why it's so frustrating when it takes its most interesting character and throws her entire character arc into the trash.
Unstoppable is just another kind of stoppable.
No.
So, before I talk about how Claudia is wasted potential in the writer's room, I should probably discuss her baseline potential first. So, to start off, her core wound is the divorce between her parents, which she talks to at the most depth with Ezran. While she's revealing her past, the act of telling all this to Ezran just goes to show how she wears her heart on her sleeve, and she always has. Revealed in Season 6, Claudia's home life began to deteriorate slowly after Viren healed Soren, who was a sickly child using dark magic. After her mother left, Claudia was forced to pick who she wanted to stay with. Since Soren chose Viren, so did she. Viren ended up resenting his son Soren because he was a reminder of why his wife left, that being that she was disturbed by Viren's use of dark magic and the monster it turned him into. So, that's a rough start for my girl Claudia. A lot of Claudia's character is about decisions, and we get to see that facet of her characterization built upon as the show continues, and Claudia is again and again put in situations where she has to choose. Choose between her mom and dad, choose between Viren and Soren, and eventually between Erebos and Terry. Oftentimes, she will pick the option that has some sort of guaranteed companionship. She picked Viren because she knew Soren would be there. Then she picked Viren because Soren usually would join her on her dad's side. And then she chooses Erebos because everyone else has left her. If you can tell, this girl has some serious abandonment issues, and her fear of abandonment is exactly what dictates every choice she makes. And this is great setup. Whew. This becomes especially clear throughout Season 5 especially. She pushes herself to exhaustion to keep her father alive because she doesn't want to lose him again. The fact that she went to revive him in the first place is already speaking numbers to show how she handles attachment. Claudia is a character who is wholly controlled by her fear and how she never takes the leap to overcome those fears. She's scared of the pain that she inevitably will endure if she changes her ways. Someone has to take the leap for her. Pretty much, her development is stunted by childhood trauma and internalized abandonment issues. Her ideas of love and trust are so warped, dude. So, if her development is stunted, why am I angry that her arc is left unfinished? Well, first off, it's a show's responsibility to make characters go through change and growth. Is Claudia a static character? If you see it as a whole descent into evilness, then no, she's not static, but at the same time, she is! After season 7 of The Dragon Prince was released on Netflix, show creator Aaron Ehasz attended an interview discussing the show's climactic ending. Something that stood out to me in particular was how Claudia's decisions were discussed in the article. Quoting Ehasz, "I think a lot of people are over-blaming Erebos. Erebos certainly has a role in her past, and so did her father, but she's complicit in choosing her own path as well. There are points along the way that you can identify where she's chosen to do things that take her in that direction, including really big moments in this season." So, in season 7, you just see how Erebos has groomed Claudia, and what bothers me is that the show treats it as, "Aw, Erebos and Claudia, they have a father and daughter relationship." No, it's not! That's grooming! This is a topic I want to handle with care. So, to make sure that nothing gets lost in translation, the definition of grooming is when a person builds a relationship with a child, young person, or an adult who's at risk so they can abuse them and manipulate them into doing things. Remember, grooming is not inherently sexual. When Erebos and Claudia first speak to each other, it's off-screen during the 3-year time skip between season 3 and 4. There, Claudia is around 16, under solely Erebos' guidance as he instructs her on how to bring Viren back from the dead. I'll reiterate, Claudia is a teenager, her father has died, her brother has cut ties with her, and she is completely isolated with nothing except Erebos' voice in her head. I don't think this was intentional writing. The intention was for Erebos to be a father figure for Claudia, and Claudia to be a father figure for Erebos. But genuinely, watching these two interact makes my stomach churn. When Claudia is at her lowest, most isolated and vulnerable, that is when Erebos came into her life. She is desperate to bring Viren back, the only person who could possibly be on her side. She's lost everyone important to her, and he is the only one she has left. When Erebos presents a solution, she's going to feed into this, even though she is being manipulated into doing his own bidding, to eventually free him from his prison. Once she has successfully necromanced her father back to life, she tells Viren that over the course of the 3 years she was following Erebos, she had to do things she never thought she could do, alluding to some instances in which she's broken the bounds of her moral code in order to save him. Honestly, I think a lot of Erebos' and Claudia's relationship is transactional. How do you repay the celestial being who helped you revive your dad? You free him from his prison. Because he can, and he did save Viren. She's going to view Erebos as somebody that is going to help her. Her savior. Do you see how the foundations of their relationship is setting up a gross dynamic? There is such a large power imbalance here that their familial relationship is not cute! It is gross and creepy! I don't think the show acknowledges this enough. It does not handle it with the tact it needs. Yet the show tells us that the relationship is based on manipulation, but it doesn't display how it is creepy. Erebos is relying on Claudia's active deterioration to achieve his goals. I'm not saying Erebos does want to make her life miserable, but I'm saying he is. This guy is famously known for preying on mages. In season 7, we get to see Claudia and Erebos' relationship in full swing as they team up to open up the In-Between, which is like a purgatory before the afterlife, to release everyone who has unfinished business. Under the guise that she could bring Viren back for the 3rd time, she's all for this plan, and still is, even when Erebos, in a stroke of honesty, tells her that the odds of Viren having any unfinished business is low. Erebos presents himself as a grieving father to Claudia, which earns her sympathy. And even after he stows Terry away from Claudia, purposefully, because he knows that Terry's emotional intelligence and subtle influence over Claudia is the only thing at this point that could end Claudia's loyalty for his plans. He is isolating her. I literally don't care if I'm overblaming Erebos. This guy groomed her. I know there's going to be people going, but his daughter died. He's grieving. He's trying to fill the gap. Okay, what if he's evil and I hate him? I'm not going to ignore the fact that Erebos is a complex character too, but this man makes me so angry. Pretty much, just to get into him, Erebos had a daughter named Leola who gave magic to the humans, and the other Star-Touched elves were like, that's not allowed, let's kill this kid. So now Erebos wants revenge on the world for his daughter's very preventable death. That's the abridged version, but you get the point. Erebos' story is a sympathetic one. But as Terry said, Erebos doesn't do all of this out of love like he says he is. He's fully invigorated by vengeance. This guy is going to set the world on fire, and he's going to watch it burn, and he's going to enjoy it. Maybe at one point it was for love, for Leola, but he lost the plot. He saw Leola and Claudia. Moreover, he projected Leola onto Claudia for selfish means. I hate him.
It's manipulation and it's wrong. I'll tell Claudia.
Oh, it will change nothing. She loves me. I am her father now, and she is my daughter.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
Boy, she just found out her dad died again. Pretty much, this show is not treating this abusive relationship correctly, making it look wholesome. And that's the problem here. And so, am I overblaming Erebos? No, and you'll see why. I didn't just say all of that to strip Claudia of her agency. Please don't think that. I'm saying this to show that Claudia has stripped herself of her agency. Obviously, she does have a warped perception of familial relationships due to her mother's abandonment and Viren's questionable parenting tactics. She is morally dubious, and that's what makes her character so interesting. She is the one making these decisions, and she does have flawed morals, but the parental figures and almost everyone in her life are actively feeding into this. Literally being manipulated is all she has ever known. It's all her parental figures have done to her. She has no sense of what's normal. Since Claudia's mother was out of the picture, Claudia was taken under Viren's wing to learn dark magic, and it's there she begins to adopt Viren's morals and beliefs. Do anything for family, no matter how dangerous, no matter how vile. He teaches her that elves are evil. She believes it. In season 1, she's totally naive and in her own little world. Literally, when we first meet her, she's oblivious to everyone around her, pretty much cave diving into a book and ignoring the fact that she's about to walk into a tree. And honestly, that introduction is perfect for her, because that's pretty much the foundations of her downfall. The idea of blind loyalty. She accepts everything Viren says without looking up. This girl is constantly abandoning her own needs and development to focus on Viren and Soren, who soon become at odds with each other. Claudia and Soren were affected differently by Viren. Honestly, what strains their siblinghood even more is the fact that Claudia views Soren's rejection of Viren as a rejection of her. I think that's why she can come off as childish, because she never had a normal childhood, nor a normal relationship with her family. Like, she's holding them together, which feeds into how she believes Viren should not throw away his life after all she has done for him. Like, Viren, she believes she is protecting him by doing what she is doing. She has no sense of personal identity. From the beginning of the show, she's been misunderstood by those around her. When Viren literally told her, not everyone speaks Claudia. Even when Terry, her boyfriend, dotes on her or tries to get her to rest, she struggles to accept that care because she doesn't feel like it's deserved. Her love is endless, but if it's from others, she feels it needs to be earned. And like, all this to say, to all her life, she has been a follower. She doesn't take time to develop her own ideas and opinions. Dad says the elves are evil. Okay. Dad is doing dark magic. Okay. I will join and I won't question anything. That's just how it's been for her. It's why she was so easily able to fall into Erebos' manipulation. She's scared if she doesn't cling onto their ideas, she could be abandoned again.
I'm following in your footsteps.
Whoa, thank you for spelling it out for me. That's a joke. Viren's dream sequence is the best part about season 5 of the show. Holy freaking moly. Anyways, I'm saying all of this about Claudia's identity because it comes so full circle in this one moment in season 6, which I think might be my favorite moment of the Dragon Prince. After Viren has left Claudia, after all she's done to keep him with her, she's feeling totally hopeless and she's beginning to see how dark magic has affected her life.
Please, Terry, tell me what to do.
Here you can see how she immediately turns to Terry and asks him what she should do. She can't think for herself anymore. She's been fostered to believe other people's ideas. She's chained to blind loyalty.
Tell my dad what it smells like when you pass gas.
I think season 7 is really interesting because they finally gave Terry like his own proper characterization, but it was at the expense of Claudia. When Terry was first introduced in season 4, he kind of came out of nowhere, and fans either love him for being like a soft and cutesy little nature boy, or they hate him because he allegedly does not serve anything to the plot, and like, did Claudia really need a boyfriend? And it's like, yeah, like why was he with Claudia? She does dark magic and she supposedly hates elves. Why does he follow her blindly? But you gotta realize, guys, in an analysis of Claudia, Terry becomes a critical player because he's literally the only one who gives Claudia a chance to have agency. I personally find the romantic relationship to be fascinating, and while we miss out on a lot of context thanks to the time skip, seeing them through Viren's eyes provides its own set of discoveries that are revealing of both Claudia and Terry personally. Terry is trans! Shout out trans people. It's touched on so lightly that not many people know he's trans, but Terry like very vaguely comes out to Viren, and he phrases it that kind of sounds like he was outcasted. He says that the other Earthblood elves saw him as a doe, but he knew he was a buck, which that is exactly why I think Claudia and Terry were able to come together. They might be all fart jokes on the surface, but what brings them together as a couple is the fact that they have always been viewed as odd by the people around them. Guys, they're so dear to me, and the relationship plays heavy into the theme of identity shown in Claudia's arc. One scene in particular with these two that stuck out to me was the bathing scene in season 6. The pure unspoken intimacy of it all is so beautiful, and the vulnerability that comes to being washed by someone else, guys. Oh, it's so good. So, what does this have to do with anything in this essay? It sounds like I just really like this ship, and that's true, but I wanted to highlight their similarities before going over their differences, so you could see how truly done dirty Claudia is by the end of the show. A large sum of their stories is in regards to self-discovery. Terry is keen to this subject since him being trans and finding acceptance within himself displays that he has a sense of identity, whereas Claudia does not. And that is what drives them apart, aside from Erebos, who pulled Terry aside and told him that Claudia was using him. Terry could see that Claudia isn't in a state in which the relationship could flourish. It should have brought the best out of each other. Instead, Terry realized that the longer he stayed with Claudia, he was losing sight of his own identity. He's come such a far way to accept himself that he can't become someone he's not. You know, for his transness influencing how he perceives himself, I really wish it was highlighted and underlined a little bit more. Shout out to the trans flowers, bro. Whew, I love you, Terry. But you see the importance of identity here? you see how identity is important to Terry and his character, and we see how important it is to Claudia's character, but they're on two different wavelengths of self-acceptance. Like, we saw how Claudia began to ask Terry to think for her, and I believe these two genuinely love each other, which makes what happens next actually angering for me. Like, yeah, it sucked to see my favorite ship in the show break up, but I thought again, and I don't know how many more times I can use this word, I really need a thesaurus, but that breakup was fascinating for both their characters. It was great to see Terry have his moment. He really is great in season 7, except for what happens next. Oh my god, okay, now that we're getting things that majorly pissed me off about season 7, I'm having trouble staying on track. Can you tell I'm stalling? I think Terry was written so out of character here. Holy, so, after Terry and Claudia break up, Terry joins our protagonists at the Banther Lodge, because, oh yeah, Katalis Lily burnt down. Man, if only half the season wasn't focused on Callum and Rayla on their honeymoon in Elfland. Oh, God, guys, Erebus is here, the world is ending! Sorry. I do enjoy Soren and Terry meeting. I giggled at Salad Guy for a hot minute. I wish we got to spend more time with them, but who cares? Here's more Raylan for you! I love Raylan, I swear. Sorry. So everyone at the Banther Lodge is like, hey Terry, you and Claudia were canoodling. Can you tell us what she's planning so we can, like, prepare? And Terry is like, the only condition that I'll tell you is if no harm will happen to Claudia. Terry and Soren somehow come to the decision that the only way to make Claudia, like, come back to her senses is by letting Claudia see her mom again. Her mom who abandoned her. What? Obviously, we as the audience know that Lissa left because Viren was an abuser, but in Claudia's eyes, she doesn't know why her mom left. She thinks her mom abandoned her, you know? And so that's not, no. So this could have gone well, and I get that the world is ending because Erebus is here and we're on like a time crunch, but making an illusion of her mom? What? This is genuinely baffling. Soren and Terry, the people who know Claudia best, they get an illusion of Claudia's mom, and then when Claudia sees right through it, we're so shocked it made her more bitter as a result? What? Guys. What? Actually, what? I know that Terry and Soren had good intentions, but what? You guys should know! Especially Terry. He would know how she gets. I don't want to be all why is the author acting like he knows so much, but like, this is not my Terry. I don't think anyone knows how to handle Claudia. They tell her what she's doing is bad, but they don't explain why it's wrong. When Viren comes back the second time and is like, Claudia, I've seen the light, he doesn't even talk to her about it or tell her why Erebos is untrustworthy. There's no guarantee she would have listened to him, but still, not enough characters are acknowledging how she feels. And I know she's an antagonist, but unless I'm mistaken, she is purposely made sympathetic.
Legalize nuclear bombs.
Season 6 was the high point of Claudia, and in my opinion, probably the strongest and most gripping season in the entire show. Throughout this essay, unless I have hallucinated, they are setting up a redemption arc for her. Am I the illiterate one? Did I hallucinate Claudia talking to Terry and be like, Terry, every time I look at the monsters, creatures, I just see how I can use them for dark magic? I could talk about the Terry tell me what to do scene for ages, because like I said, it's my favorite Claudia scene. But furthermore, what's the point of adding that scene if it literally wasn't going to do anything? Yeah, we got Claudia at the end of the show, desperately proclaiming,
But I'm still nice. I'm still me.
but that doesn't mean anything when there's been no further development of that plot point. You know, when me and my friend sat down to watch season 7, we literally made a bingo board of our predictions, and tell me why the only thing stopping me from getting another 2 bingos was the box that said Claudia Redemption. And I know not every villain needs a redemption arc. Not every villain deserves one. But when it is blatantly being set up, only to be ignored, that's just bad writing. I am sorry. Claudia is a character who deserves to be redeemed. Do you know how great it would be if we got to watch her find her own identity by tearing herself away from Erebos? Do you know how empowering that would be as as a narrative choice? And here's what's really making me angry. The Dragon Prince had a really bad ending. I could go on and on about how the Erebos will be back in 7 years. It's dumb, and I probably will someday, but this plot point is cheapening Claudia's character. I actually can't believe her last line was 7 years, as she ominously puts a cloak on. What the fuck? What are we as the audience supposed to take away from that? It makes her out to be a cartoon villain, and like, she is a cartoon villain, but they're making it look so bad and cheap. I know I keep calling her a villain as a blanket term to make this more comprehensible. Claudia is like Viren, like a tragic hero, kinda. Claudia is just about to just prepare for Erebos to come back for the next 7 years. How could the writers of the show create such an interesting and tragic character whose thematic purpose surrounds identity and self-discovery and then do nothing with it? I remember as soon as I finished watching season 7, I ran to Twitter to see if I was the only one who hated the ending. I discovered primarily positive reviews, but most criticisms were coming from Claudia fans. Do you see the overlap here? Lucky for us, the Dragon Prince creators were open to criticism after the aforementioned interview we talked about in an earlier section. A fan voiced a critique on how Claudia was handled, and Aaron Ehas's response was, "Claudia's story is not over. We need Arc 3. If you think the third act of Viren's arc was amazing, I believe the days ahead in Claudia's journey will be a revelation." The Dragon Prince is over. The show was greenlit for 7 seasons, and Netflix marketed the last one as a conclusion and as a finale. I know this video sounds like I'm digging at Aaron Ehas the entire time, but like, saying that Claudia's story isn't over when the story literally is over is so dumb! We don't need Arc 3. And I can't believe I'm saying that because I do deeply and passionately love this show, but genuinely, what would we get in more seasons? More slop. Like, I'm not gonna get angry at anybody who wants more of the Dragon Prince. Like, that's valid. Like, if you like the show, you want more of it. But the whole Erebos will come back in 7 years thing is so lame. Like, actually, there are 7 seasons of this show because that's how many primal sources Callum needed to connect with by the end of it. We already saw Erebos get defeated. Do we really need this again? What is the point of this? What really frustrates me with this ending is that the creators are acting like a third arc is happening. They ended the show to continue it. This is your last season. Treat it like one. If I'm being honest, I really hope the show doesn't get a new season because I don't trust the writers at Claudia. Would I tune in? Yeah. I am the problem, but literally I don't choose the hyperfixation chooses me. I can't control that I am just like magnetically attracted to poorly written media. Whoopsies! I don't care that the Dragon Prince is a kid's show. Is anyone under 12 actually watching it besides my little brother? I'm really sorry. I love this show. That's why I'm angry. I love Claudia so much, and I have so much respect for the team behind the Dragon Prince. And again, like, I know we can do better than this. We have done better than this. And Claudia was not given the ending she deserved. Her character was cheapened instead. Please feel free to disagree with me in the comments, though I'm guessing if you do, you already left one and aren't watching anymore. But whatever. I probably should have picked something less controversial for my first video essay, but like, I stand what I'm saying, and if I accidentally messed with some of the lore, I'm so sorry. I definitely did leave some stuff out, and if my analysis came off as like half-baked, I'm sorry. High fantasy media is hard to get into, because there's just like, there's a lot. It's a lot of lore. So yeah, I didn't like season 7. Claudia deserves better, and the show is going to get dragged on. What I'm trying to say is that if you set up a character arc, you should probably complete it. Not gonna lie.